All right, kids, settle down. It's time to get back to school. Skeptic School. Today's lesson, confirmation bias. And today's example, this stupid tweet and its ridiculously stupid replies. A nunnery writes, well, this makes me absolutely sick, but the bizarre hashtag feral hogs tweet is fascist dog whistle bait. Add the oddly specific quantities in the feral hogs tweet, 30 plus 50 equals 80, 3 plus 5 equals 8, and the idea presented of invading pigs threatening his children and protection by violence. That probably makes no sense to you if you have a life outside of Twitter, so let me just explain real quick. Earlier this week, after one of America's many mass shootings, a man on Twitter attempted to justify not banning assault weapons like so. Legit question for rural Americans, how do I kill the 30 to 50 feral hogs that run into my yard within 3 to 5 minutes while my small kids play? This is obviously hilarious and stupid, so Twitter quickly made this man its punching bag of the day. We all had a good time with it. But you can't have fun on Twitter because eventually someone will come along to explain why your fun actually is helping the Nazis. Enter a nunnery who has basically reinvented the Bible code for Twitter. Sure enough, if you add up 30 and 50 and 3 and 5, you do in fact get 88, which is the Hitler number because H is the 8th letter of the alphabet and 88 equals HH equals Hail Hitler. The craziest thing is probably that the second half of all of that is true. Neo-Nazis are stupid pieces of shit. So the best way that they could think of to reference their dead, rotting, beta cuck dickhole is by a simple replacement cipher. If you browse through Reddit, for instance, and you see someone with a username that has 88 in it, there's likely to be a Nazi as to be 31 years old. But the rest of Nunnery's tweet is just straight up confirmation bias. Let's review. Confirmation bias is what happens when a person seeks out information that supports what they already believe or want to be true, and ignore what they do not want to be true. For instance, if a psychic tells you that she sees your dead relative, whose name is Jim, who gave you a watch when he died of cancer, you will cling to the fact that your granddad was named James, even if he died of a heart attack and never gave you any watch. You'll forget those other details and tell everyone that the psychic is for real because she knew your granddad's name. That is, if you really wanted her to be a psychic, or if you really were hoping for a message from your granddad. That's confirmation bias. In this case, a nunnery desperately wants this viral tweet to be a coded Nazi message. I'll leave it to you to decide why she wants that. It could be attention. It could be paranoia. But, you know, this happens. So she dug through the tweet to find these details that she thinks should be obvious, but in fact, they require a lot of effort to add these random numbers together. And there's no actual reason why this message would be a secret Nazi message, because it was simply a reply someone made to a celebrity talking about assault weapons. Why would a neo-Nazi need to put a secret code in a reply that when he makes it, he doesn't know billions of people are going to soon see and make fun of? You can also see this happening in her replies when she attempts to support her position by saying, I wasn't certain until I looked at the fascist POS's tweets, and he keeps putting whistle after whistle in responses. 4, 8, etc. I'm really sorry to break this way, and I wish I'd learned or noticed earlier. I would just delete everything you've posted on it. I'm going to. I looked at the fascist piece of shit's tweets, and big surprise, he's not a Nazi. Or if he is, he's a very, very well-hidden Nazi because he mostly just tweets about basketball. Her proof is that he defended the question of how to handle 30 to 50 feral hogs by stating that he never advocated for one solution to the hogs. And, you know, Hitler proposed a final solution, and those two words are the same. But if he's using a dog whistle in that case, wouldn't he say something like, I was looking for one final solution to the feral hog problem. Like, if this is a dog whistle, he's saying that he's not interested in the final solution. She also points out that his use of 8 twice fits this Nazi label. In one of the tweets she calls out, he tweets 88, which is the Hitler number. I looked it up. The tweet is from 5 years ago, and it's in reply to an ESPN commentator asking who people think will win the Daytona 500 that year. Several other replies also name 88 because car number 88 was Dale Earnhardt Jr. Guess who won the race? Dale Earnhardt Jr., number 88, proving that NASCAR itself was signaling to the world 5 years ago that it is in fact a secret Nazi enclave. Nunnery's other proof is that McNabb tweeted a funny video last month about what it's like to be on Twitter by saying, "I've been on Twitter for over 8 years. This is exactly what it's like." Someone replies to Nunnery saying, "Do you think he deliberately made his account in 2011 because he knew that exactly 8 years later he'd be able to exploit it for a Nazi dog whistle?" And incredibly, she does think that. She says, I mean, come on, there's plausible deniability, and then there's just denying the blatant. Now, normally I would have just ignored all of this, especially after that particular exchange where the person in question seems like there's a chance they might be unwell or, legitimately paranoid. It's very Pepe Sylvia. But her initial tweet, which included 0 evidence, got almost 500 retweets and 1,000 faves. And I think it's worth pointing out that this sort of conspiracy theory thinking isn't just limited to conservatives. Progressive liberals can also be subject to cognitive biases like this. And it's important that we police our own and not fall into these traps, because when neo-Nazis do use dog whistles, which they do, and they are doing more and more often and more obviously, we can call them out without looking like paranoid Pepe Sylvia level conspiracy theorists. And as an aside, this guy just doesn't deserve to be branded as a neo-Nazi. Is he a moron? Yes, obviously. But the absolute bollocking he took for his feral hog tweet, which even made it to CNN, for God's sakes, is more than enough for what his Second Amendment loving ass deserves. One final note, all of this is not to say that all people pointing out Nazi dog whistles are incorrect. Just the opposite. As another recent example, an NBC analyst, Frank Figliuzzi, recently pointed out that Trump has ordered the flag to fly at half staff until August 8th, which is, of course, A8. Did Trump knowingly and specifically arrange for the flags to go back to full staff on A8 as a Nazi dog whistle? Honestly, probably not, but there are actual Nazis working for the State Department, as Hate Watch uncovered this week. So it's not entirely out of the question. And there is no traditional amount of time for the flag to fly at half-staff following a tragedy. It's entirely up to the president. In this case, Trump determined that it would fly from Sunday, August 4th to Thursday, August 8th. And that does seem like a strange amount of time. Like, why not just finish out the work week? But there's really no way to know what the purpose of that date was without finding a memo from Whitey McWet dog smell to Trump saying, hey, A8 is important to white nationalists. Let's do this. But Figliuzzi's point wasn't that this is definitely a dog whistle that Trump was putting out. It was that whether it was intentional or not, neo-Nazis will see this as yet another sign that the president of the United States is on their side. Because this is a big thing. This is a national deal. This isn't a tweet in reply to a celebrity. This is the sort of thing that a lot of neo-Nazis will pay attention to, and they'll be like, hey, A8, And so if you were president of the United States, and if you had a lot of Nazis that were big fans of yours and were even maybe working in your administration, but you are not a Nazi sympathizer yourself, wouldn't you be doing everything possible to distance yourself from them? However, we can also just say that this is incompetence. This is one of the most incompetent administrations ever. So maybe it was just that. but maybe they should be paying attention to the Nazi dog whistles. So see, we can talk about Nazi dog whistles without using numerology and inventing neo-Nazi conspiracy theories out of thin air. Good news, it's 2019 and the Nazis aren't exactly hiding anymore. Wait, that's not good news, actually.